Hello, Gero. Here we are. So yeah,
Oh,
just wanna say I'm feeling like a bit, I was already feeling a bit kind of insecure and wonky about doing a live this morning. So I wonder if it was like this manifestation of like, yeah, like I was saying before we got on, just there's something about being on social media that kind of like doesn't entirely resonate with me to be on social media so much. And there is like a deeper, yeah, there's an experiment that I'm in that I'm just kind of surrendering to the experiment. So either that was me subconsciously sabotaging the live, or Mercury retrograde, which apparently when Mercury is in retrograde, there's like communication glitches and um, technology glitches as well. So anyway, welcome.
thank you.
And
I
so
wonder what the more empowering story in that out of those two is in this moment.
that
Was
I'm
it
so
you?
powerful that I've manifested the glitch in my Facebook feed.
Yeah.
Or Mercury. I surrender. Um, Either way, it doesn't matter. Here we are. We're gonna just keep on rolling with the experiment and trust. Um, I'll pop this video up after we complete our time together. And yeah, I just want
Yeah.
to say hello, welcome. For those of you who don't know, this beautiful brother is Gero, who is one of my housemates. So yesterday I had Stacia, who you may have heard mention Gero's name, and this is Gero, who's been
Yeah.
dear brother to me over these past years. It's been such an honor showing up day to day with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of give a little bit of context, that you and I pretty much like we've been showing up for daily heart shares for a while now, like at least like a year, if not more. And just how much healing there's been uh, here in me, and I know in you as well. And what a remarkable commitment that is to one's own inner work, that I don't think many people could fathom, let alone entertain. Prioritizing daily heart shares. Well, 5 days a week. We don't typically meet on the weekends. Um, Yeah, and maybe you want to just share like where that came from, because you were the one that instigated that for us before we get into some other things. So I feel like that's
Yeah,
a
sure.
part of your and my connection.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been a really extraordinary journey, and originally inspired by a similar experience of a group of friends of mine in Germany that have been meeting for 4 years now, on with that regularity every weekday morning before work, um, showing up for an hour with each other. And yeah, this, while being in connection with them and on visits, being part of that group, and once a week through an online format, being connected to them. Yeah, just feeling the power of what happens when my nervous system and my conscious and my unconscious in that way get this confirmation through experience that no matter what happens today, I know that the other one will show up tomorrow again. That no matter how difficult the conversation or how high the emotions are or how painful or how explosive or whatever the intense extreme is, I can rely that the other one or the other ones will show up tomorrow again. And I think that creating this this experience for myself in our environment here, through living together, through prioritizing that in whatever way was possible at the time, to not just fit it in somewhere when it's convenient, but to structure my life in a way that is at a really high level priority.
Yeah, and it's a game changer. I mean, it's been such a game changer having that space every day. You know, we meet for 1 hour a day every morning, first thing in the morning before we start our day. And yeah, like I think it's almost like, because it's become so a part of my rhythm, my daily rhythm, I don't actually take much time to pause and reflect on how powerful and how, yeah, like huge it is to have that space where, you know, there's nowhere to hide. Like in the past, before we got into these heart shares, these daily heart shares, it was like, you know, something would come up, I'd sit with it, I'd like chew on it, I'd go into this depressive mode or this shutdown mode. But it's like when we show up every day, it's like it's literally keeping everything moving, the flow of energy, the flow of emotional processing. It's just constantly moving. And I'm pretty sure it's a testament to like how far I've been coming in my own life. And I know, as being witness to you and other people in our household, how much it's really facilitated and aided us in growing and expanding and evolving at like a really, I would say, more rapid pace than before I was engaging in the daily heart shares. Yeah. And like, yeah, just what a huge value we put on interpersonal communication. And yeah, I guess from here I'd love to, yeah, just dive in. And because during my lives, during my talk shows, I've been really asking everybody who comes on, what has your experience during lockdown, during this COVID lockdown period been like? You know, what are some of the struggles you've faced, some of the wins you've experienced? I mean, I know because I've been privy to witnessing on a daily basis. So what is it that you feel you might want to share with others who may or may not be watching this?
Yeah.
I know there's so much to pick from, hey?
Yes. What flavor? What flavor?
Well,
Um,
we could dive in,
but I think,
enter into the assumptions conversation.
yeah,
There's something
I
else
think
that inspired you.
in the bigger picture is just really a deconstructing, or yeah, deconstructing of who I thought I was, and at a level that has been at times super confronting. Like I'm mid-40s. I thought I had an idea of who I am, uh, or who I was, and yeah, in some ways, I guess I built an identity around that. I yeah, a business in some ways of how I am in the world, and show how I show up in the world, and what I do. And that, yeah, like this lockdown, particularly the second phase of Melbourne stage 4, yeah, has really unraveled me in ways that I didn't know was possible. And at times to a level where, yeah, it frightens me. Like like what is left when this part also goes? What is what am I? Who am I? And I think in the first lockdown there was some of that happening, but I can see in hindsight now how my mind was still convinced that I knew who I was. Like that unraveling to that degree didn't happen. But yeah, the second round definitely did the trick, and I know who I am no longer, and I don't know yet who I am. I think that's really work in progress, or it's a rediscovery in a way.
Yeah, and I mean,
But yeah, who I was, who I thought I was, or who I saw myself to be, that has definitely crumbled or shifted, and yeah.
yeah, and I know what a challenging experience it's been for you, and what a challenging experience it would be for anybody, especially given the kind of programs that we're given, that at a certain age we should have this and this accomplished, have our shit sorted out, especially also being a man in that context, in that bigger story. um yeah, I can imagine. It's I know that it's been really painful and confronting, as you've already said. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm curious.
yeah, and
Go ahead.
yeah, part of it is just having really seen over the last few months how my perpetual doing, that for at least a while, and I guess still to some degree, I perceive as that's being a man in the world. That's what it means to be a man, is to do.
Mm,
And the more I do, or the more successful the picture of the outcomes of my doing, the more man I am, or the more I am that, meaning that picture.
mm,
And yeah, that has been a massive unraveling from a level of seeing that who what is left, who is left, who is left when this doing slows down, or even stops. At least comparably, my picture is that doing has stopped, and then that, yeah, question what is left,
yeah.
and to see to what degree I've used this doing as an armor, as a defense, and as a protective layer from myself, and to protect me from the world, and from the experience of really feeling life. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's almost like that, like you say, that doing is really protecting you, has been a protection against feeling life, because life is unknown. Life is like, we're just totally like, life is such an unknown, mysterious experience. And the doing, the planning, the purpose driven way of being, it's almost kind of puts the blinders on. Oh no, there's nothing to see out here. I'm just going to stay focused on this. Though once you kind of take those blinders off, it really just throws you into this void. And I mean, not to say that it's a masculine or a feminine thing, but again, it's that masculine essence of doing, where it's the feminine of just this total chaos, unknown receptivity, which is vast, and it can be terrifying. And in witnessing you over these months, I feel like that's really what you've been tapping into, even in the sense of really allowing your feelings to move in a way that they hadn't been moving previously. Like, not
Yeah.
only the work with the anger that you you've been doing. That's kind of your work in the world, helping others to tap into the power of their anger. Though I know that one of the big gifts of this time, in my experience of you, has been really tapping into the sadness, to the grief
Mm.
that's been there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought my observation at the time was that the first lockdown already brought me a lot more into contact with sadness. It's nothing like what the overall picture has been has been in the entirety now. Like the levels of sadness and therefore connection that I've again stepped into, or that I'm now able to feel is just vastly different. And what I find super confronting is that at the time I thought I was doing it. If I look at it now, it's almost like nothing happened then. And just to see that this continuous unfolding or unraveling, and I'm not even quite sure where it's going, because in some ways it is still unfolding. But the confronting part for me was, and it still is, to see how, I know, delusional. Maybe there's that
Now, when
word
I said
again.
to you this morning, you were delusional.
I was at the time while I'm thinking that I'm wide awake, and yeah, I think that's that's the really confronting part, to see how far off from where I thought I was actually at the time.
Yeah.
So that is the the biggest unraveling for me. And from that place, I also have a sense that there is a maybe humbleness that's coming that I didn't know previously, of the likelihood that when I think I know, that I'm still entirely wrong, has become a lot more real.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that this morning, weren't we? You and I, about the like, this is reality and this is like our reality. It's like this small pinhole of what we can perceive or understand, and the, I guess you said it, the humbleness of really learning to accept it, learning to accept the things that we cannot change. We cannot move faster than our pace is meant to go. We cannot learn the lessons quicker than we can learn them. We can't heal the things that are not ripe and ready to heal. It's just really just one step at a time. Just this humbleness that is required to really take this one step at a time, and to get out of one's own way so that we can be present to what's here, and holding the vision of where we want to go, though not tripping over ourselves either, because the vision is what kind of is the catalyst for the growth. In a sense, we have this vision and it's the catalyst for our growth, yet we're not there, we're here. And can we just be present with what's here? And then I know, in knowing you, sometimes it's kind of like a like a
yeah, apparently Aquarians
wow.
have capacity to vision and perceive what is possible, and not necessarily the patience and the systematic nature to uh, to map out exactly the way there. But yeah, just um, having this deep sense that something else is possible, and how can I be compassionate with my biology, with my evolutionary rate, um, with my healing, with my transformation on the way there, rather than yeah um, than than doing as in forcing myself there.
Yeah.
um,
Beating
what I
oneself up that I'm not there.
yeah.
And also, kind of, if we're always looking at where we're not, we actually we're failing to recognize how far we've already come. And I know that's something that I often remind you of in my tracking of you, to just how can we take the time to celebrate how far we've already come, with rather than always looking at how far there is yet to go, or where we're not, where we want to be but we're not yet, recognizing
Yeah.
that we've already taken so many steps to be here.
Hmm.
And I know your level of commitment and dedication to your path and to the art of relating, and yeah, and how that's what's working us, that's what's working you, and you're showing up, and it's amazing. It's so inspiring.
Yeah, I think it's comes back a little bit to this picture. Is how can I um, how can I allow myself to be drawn towards a vision by the lure of becoming, rather than being pushed by the pain of the circumstance. And I think uh, humans tend to learn through pain, and there is something that yeah I why am I so hooked, why am I so orientated to the pain as driver, and what would it need for me to shift to the being drawn by the lure of becoming.
Yeah, I want to just like snapshot that phrase right there, the lure of becoming. It sounds, yeah, something, it just really does something inside of me. It sounds really sexy, and that actually is more engaging than like, oh, the pain of growth.
Yeah, and I've been asking myself that question for a long time, and it still seems elusive. um yeah, i'm I'm finding myself at least regular in the pain driven change, um and yeah, this real curiosity. What is that? Just human nature? Is that my biology of survival, and and what has brought me here, that I am limited by that mindset, by that survival concept? Or what can I do in actually shifting? Like, how can I at least orientate myself more to this, yeah, to being drawn towards something.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess, and you and I, we have this conversation pretty often, the friendly universe conversation. Do I live in a friendly universe or not? And maybe that is part of it, the continuing to trust that I live in a friendly universe, and that all of the things that's happening is actually what is propelling me towards this sense of becoming the vision of who I might want to be, or even beyond what I can even imagine. And it's like, yeah, for me it often comes back down to trust, that if I can trust that I live in a friendly universe and that I'm living in a benevolent, like it's a benevolent, everything is in support of me becoming the greatest version of myself. It's almost kind of like, when mommy gives you the bitter medicine when you're a kid, when you've got the flu and you gotta eat that medicine, but it's like you trust mommy is not gonna harm you. You trust that mommy is giving you that bitter medicine so you can get better. And it's kind of like, okay, I'll eat this medicine, mommy. It's almost like this, rather than like, oh, it sucks, this fucking growth shit sucks, and almost like, okay, thank you, life, thank you, universe, you're giving me this bitter medicine, it's making me well, and if I can
Mm.
continue to retune my awareness to that trust, it's almost like, again, it's the grip. Yes,
Mm.
I'm getting well, thank you, I'm getting well, thank you for this medicine, I'm getting well.
Yeah, and on that note, like this idea of, it touched on assumptions this morning after I shared a little bit of my recent experience with this. What stops me from assuming that in that moment, life, or mommy as you called it, actually does the best, what is serves me the best, rather than assuming that you're trying to kill me, I can't take it.
Yeah,
Like it's
absolutely.
like this, like again, what is that we often assume the worst. We assume we're we are focused on danger. Uh, we assume the worst, rather than what will it take for me to assume that the inter the interaction that I'm having, what another person is bringing to me, is actually with the best intention, and
Yeah.
that is my default. I mean, yes, I may be proven otherwise at times, but how can I how can I turn towards the assumption that this is all in my best interest,
Yeah. And that is,
rather than this is dangerous, I'm going to be taken advantage of, I'm going to die, whatever it is.
yeah, and I guess, and this is, I feel like it's a total mind, it's a shifting of the way that our minds perceive it, and it's practicing reminding myself that it's all in my best interest. And I think we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. It's if I can track where I've been, which often we don't, which is why I love our heart shares, because if I'm not tracking me, you're tracking me, and I can remind you of where you've been. Because, and I asked you this the other day, it's like, has it ever not turned out in your favor? Like everything, even the shittiest, most painful experiences that in the moment were just soul crushing or life threatening or whatever, you're still here.
Mm.
And so it's almost, we have the proof. We have the proof. So if we can remember in the moments when things feel really dense and really out of control and I don't know where it's going, if we can simply take a pause to just see the path that we've already traversed to get to this point, we actually do have the proof that everything has worked out in our favor. And even in many circumstances, even better than we could have imagined.
Mm.
And that's the beauty of having people that know us, that know us, have known us for some time as well.
Mm.
Or, yeah. So I don't know where I'm going with that. I just felt to say that because it I actually believe that everything is in is collaborating, is corroborating to give us the most extraordinary experience of our lives, that we have to be willing to keep showing up and trusting, getting out of our own way and trusting in the bigger design. You know, the grand, one of my teachers, the acronym for God is the acronym for grand organizing design. You know, do we trust in the grand organizing design? You know, that we humans are part of this bigger system, and it's fucking perfect. Nature doesn't make mistakes. I mean, it's experimenting, perhaps.
Yeah, sometimes like a branch doesn't continue.
Yeah.
It's not a mistake. It's just fertile fertilizer.
So we're part of it. We're part of the grand experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and ultimately we're doing great, brother. It's one step at a time, hey.
Yeah, one step at a time while stepping out of the way.
I guess it's kind of like a dance. I don't know, but I know that we're doing it. And I guess that's what I invited you this morning, if you remember. Can we be in the, can we hold can we attempt to be in the space of I don't need to know? And that still like messes with my mind. What? Though there's something in that, I feel, that can be really of service. Do you have anything else you want to share?
Just looking at which can of worms to open, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, well, we can bring it to a close for now. Part 1. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was already reasonably dense in where we stepped, and I'm not. Yeah, as I was observing the cans, I chose not to pull one off the shelf. So maybe it just is true to leave it here where we are right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for being part of this experiment with me. And I have a feeling we're gonna keep walking and experimenting together.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for so generously sharing and for showing up and for being one of my like main cheerleaders on my team. It's yeah.
Yep.
I feel really, really blessed to have a Gero on my side.
Yeah, there's stuff that we can't do on our own, isn't it? It's where it just really serves to have one another to encourage, to track the changes that seem so minuscule to self that they don't even seem like they are happening, and to bring the mirror in of, yeah, and see, you remember when you said this and when you were there, and yeah, we can actually point out all the changes and the growth that sometimes we can't see in ourselves.
Yeah, and ultimately you made that. You called that in. Like you actually are the one that called that in. Whether you are aware of it or not, when you declared that you wanted to have a space every day where we share. I mean, this is like the greatest gift you've given, not only to us, though to yourself, because maybe you weren't even aware of what you were fucking doing, but it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm calling in all these mirrors. You kind of are tracking my progress. So when I forget,
yeah, thank you for the reminder.
Throw the evidence in my face. Well done.
Yeah, and it was the allure of becoming. It wasn't the pain that was driving it. So thank you for the reminder.
Yes, I love it. I want to like post that somewhere, or like in my just like yeah,
Yeah.
the lure of becoming. This is what's calling me forward. The lure of becoming. I like it. I like it a lot. I like the reframe a lot. I'm gonna chew on that for a while and see where it takes me. We'll chew on it together.
Yeah, alone, together,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much,
between
brother.
between times. Yeah.
I love you.
Love you too.
I'll see you in
Have a
Heart Shares
beautiful
tomorrow
day.
morning.
I will.
Darling.
You will. Take
Bye.
care.